Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
Good everyone, and welcome to the Insight NBA show. I am your host, Matty G. Welcome to the Week 16 preview, Week 15 if you are playing on Yahoo. And of course, the biggest news on everybody's lips today, we've just done the pod breakdown, the emergency thing. Skitty, myself, and our friend Adam King from FBI Basketball International. Luka is a Laker AD to the Mavericks. We broke it down, the implications on the starting fives and fantasy values, where we think the bumps are and the rises. You can check that out on our channel in the NBA playlist. Look, immediate thoughts of this, and I'm just going to put fantasy aside for a second. And your heart has got to break a little bit with this trade, because it's not about the players who are involved in the trade or the picks that are involved in the trade. It's about the one person that's the number one player on the Lakers until Luka starts playing. And it's LeBron James. For me, this is the hallmark of LeBron's time in the NBA is drawing it just so much closer. Like, he's been with us for so long, like 22 years, one of the best, if not the best to some, to ever do it. Is now one more step away from stepping away from the game, because the Lakers are looking for a future, for life after LeBron. And if there was ever a signal, if there was ever a hallmark moment that they are doing that now, it is bringing a 25-year-old Luka Doncic into the team to be the future of the franchise. So just think for 1 second. We may only get what we saw today, a triple-double out of LeBron. This season? He has a player option for next year. If it doesn't work out, he could be like, nah, I'm good, and go anywhere. Or then he stays for that one more. And so now we are looking so much closer, like it's real now, that the NBA is going to be without LeBron James sooner rather than later. And that is a real darn shame for me. He's my favorite player. Like, I'm coming back on the back of the 90s. The NBA was lost. Yeah, there was Kobe. Yeah, there was the Spurs, but LeBron was a saving grace to the NBA when they needed. I'm going to be so sad when he steps away. Enough of the sentimentality. Let's get down to it. Let's get to the weekly preview.
He's heating up.
Look, Week 16 is chocked in there with 2 11-game days where you could find it a little bit hard to stream on Wednesday and Saturday with 11 games respectively. Monday doesn't start us off easily with 10. We do have some lightweight on Tuesday and Thursday, 7 and 6 respectively, another 7 on Friday, and a very easy schedule in on the Sunday for the 3, because then we start a 2-week segment for the fantasy 2-week shenanigans in basketball fantasy. So there's one team that stands out above all else with this week with 5 games, and that is the Houston Rockets. They are playing 5 games this week, so obviously our attention comes to them. But again, we have to talk about quality games. Now, when you're playing 5 games, when you play 5 out of 7, sure, you're throwing darts at the board and you're going to hit more than you miss. Easy. Cool. We get that. But what we really need to look at is what days our quality games are on. And obviously, those quality games are the Tuesday, the Thursday, the Friday, and the Sunday. So we'll come down to that later on, because I've got some bad news for you there. I've got some bad news. But there's a lot of teams, though, causing this that are on 4 games this week. In fact, no team in the NBA plays 2, because you've got a lot of 4 and a lot of 3s apart from the Rockets on the 5. You've got pretty much every single team, the Hawks, the Hornets, the Nuggets, the Pistons, the Warriors, the Pacers, the Bucks, the T-Wolves, the Thunder, the Magic, and the 76ers, along with the Suns, Trailblazers, Kings, Spurs, Raptors, Jazz, and the Wizards are all on 4 games. Bumping it into 3 games this week, we've got the Celtics, the Nets, the Bulls, the Cavs, the Mavs, the Clippers, the Grizz, the Heat, the Pelicans, and the New York Knickerbockers are all on 3. So the good news, only one team with 5, lots of teams on 4 and some on 3. That makes it good for streaming options. Now, we spoke at the beginning of the week that there is this 10 games on the beginning of the week. There is the 10 games to finish. So if you want to finish strong on your Sunday and if you want to lock in your win, you could angle into the Pistons, the Grizzlies, and the Bucks. Now, that could be really advantageous for you because these guys play, of all of these teams, none of them play 4 games in 3 nights there. So you're not getting any really big bump here. But playing 3 games in 4 nights from Sunday all the way back over to Wednesday, we have some teams. Now, that does include the Pistons, Memphis, they're right there, and the Bucks. All those teams there, they play 3 games in 4 nights from Sunday to Wednesday. So if we want to angle that one, we could also look here at Chicago. They do it. The Cavs, they're doing it as well. The Grizzlies, who we mentioned, the Bucks, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Toronto Raptors. So you can get 3 games in 4 nights from those guys. So again, if you want to finish off your week really, really strong, get it back-to-back to set yourself up with. You're looking at the Pistons, the Grizzlies, and the Bucks. Or if you're okay, if you want to set it up now and get ready for a Wednesday because you do want to save your ads for the week ahead. You've got the Bulls, Cleveland, Detroit, Memphis, Milwaukee. These are all good. These are all good teams to focus on. The Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors. We kind of want to bump that in there a little bit. It's really important for us to make the most of those ads where we can. And I'm going to run one more time because, look, when we do break it down, we want to make sure that we're getting the most value ads because when we have 2 games that are chocked in here, the days, especially the Monday and the Wednesday, it gets a little bit hairy. The other big thing is this. We have the NBA trade deadline. Now, we've got the show coming up tomorrow night, which is all of our stashes because we love a good cheeky stash before the trade deadline to make advantage of it because we don't want to be running to the waiver wire like all merry hell, waking up on Friday morning in Australia, staying up late to the midnight over in the States just to find out the latest. But we do because we love fantasy and it's what we want to do. But if you want those stashes, you can make sure that you lock it in to our next pod dropping tomorrow night where we're going to cover all of those up really well. And the thing is with the stashes, if we start setting ourselves up in the beginning of the week, if we start adding on Monday and Tuesday, and we're only on a 4 ad league, well, half of them are done on Monday and Tuesday, and you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room on your Monday in the first place. So what are we doing? Use them on the Sunday, 100%. If you've got them in your current week, if you're locking yourself in the W, or if you're chasing it down, these are the teams to target. Because then we start to move on to it a little bit after that one. Now, the Monday, Tuesday, the Sunday, Monday, back-to-back, the following week is going to be mixed up with the Hornets and the Bucks right there. So there's going to be able to finish our week like that as well. But to start it off the back at the beginning of the week, we do have some Monday, Tuesday action with the Rockets, the Pacers, the Knicks, and the Trailblazers. Tuesday and Wednesday, the Nets, the Bulls, the Cavs, the Heat, the 76ers, and the Raptors. Moving through the Wednesday and the Thursday, we've got the Nuggets, the Warriors, the T-Wolves, the Magic, and the Sacramento Kings. And Thursday and Friday, you'd think right here, the NBA would do us a solid when we have 6 and 7 games. But again, they do not do it. There are no back-to-backs on the Thursday and Friday. So it's a nice pivot point for us. Friday and Saturday, we can jump back on the pivot train, though, with the Hawks, the Thunder, the Phoenix Suns, the San Antonio Spurs, the Utah Jazz, and the Washington Wizards. And Saturday and Sunday, our 5-game team this week, the Houston Rockets, cap off their week right there. So the number one name for me, stream-wise, is Dylan Brooks. He's been playing incredibly well lately. Dylan Brooks, for me, is a must-add this week. If I can get 5 games of juice out of Dylan Brooks, who's probably better than your worst player, I would say. He's been rolling of late. So he's, for me, one of the number one targets. I've added him in 2 leagues already where he was available. The others he was not. And that is a very simple, easy add for me. Also, I want to add him, and if I need to do anything else and he's not feeding the stats that I need, I'm going to drop him off, put him on the waiver wire so that we can get him on the Friday because he needs to clear it within 48 hours. Also, that's a really good tactic people don't use enough, I feel, in fantasy. Pick up a guy the week before, kind of put the kibbutz on him for the first couple of days. Especially if you don't need it, pick him up, drop him. No one can use him, and then it's done. It's cheeky, but I do love it. Now, you asked me, Matty G, is there any team playing on those special days, the low volume days? And the answer is no. There are no teams playing on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. So unfortunately, that advantage that we would like to see, we can take away immediately. Because as you can say, Dikembe says, no, not in his house. That is not going to happen as much as we want it to. The most quality games, as I said this week, do fall on those volume days for the Rockets, the 76ers, and the Raptors. The least amount of quality games playing on those banked up days falls to the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. What that tells us is this: if we've got those fringy Pelicans guys, like Jordan Hawkins, or maybe you're talking about like your Luke Kennard, Santi Aldama, Jake LaRavia types over with the Grizzlies, yeah, we can let them go. And we can focus on guys who are going to get us the quality games during the course of the week. Again, pivoting into a Dylan Brooks is a really smart thing. And I don't often use the word smart and Dylan Brooks in the same sentence, but you can put those words together this week in fantasy as something we want to look at. So the key is this: what can we do to move our way through the week really well and get onto as many games as we can? Now, again, if we can find a player that is better than our worst player, and this is what it's about. And I don't want to give like, G said to do this. It's not the week for it. NBA trade deadline week is just, it's a mental fracas of chicanery. Like we've just seen it today. There was no one who was at the blackjack table putting their chips on Luka to be traded. You know what I mean? And if it was the drunk guy at the end of the bar just throwing chips around like, I reckon Luka's going to go. I've got a friend. My mate says Luka's going to go. And he just whacks a bloody $100 chip and it comes up. Like, that's the kind of bullshit we're talking about here in trade week. But there are guys that we can focus on, and we want to make sure that we can pick those up later in the week, especially if they find their way to a team that they can be of more fantasy benefit from us, of more relevance from us. If they're going to get the minutes, if an opportunity is knocking and it's going to get there for them. Now, Rui Hachimura makes my list of potential ads this week because the Lakers, and we'll talk about them soon, great state of flux, etc. Great game today versus the Knicks. But we all know that he's one of the guys that's focused on for a potential Lakers trade. So if we use him at the beginning of the week, all good and well. But let's say he ends up in a team where he's going to be benched straight away. Well, great. We use it now. We drop it. But we need to be prepared to do that and make that ad. If we go hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, well, the trade deadline, we all know it all kind of just waits up until that weekend. And then next week, we're moving into the double week of the fantasy all-star weekend thing over the 2 weeks and low games and days off and etc. We're going to burn ourselves. So I want to advise this week only from Monday to Friday before that trade deadline, because then we're going to come on, we're going to do a trade review show. We're going to say who to add. You probably added them. We're going to do the thing. But to start off your week, well, 3 games and 4 nights from Monday to Thursday this week. We've got the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Rockets, the Pacers, the T-Wolves, the Magic, the Trailblazers, and the Kings. Guys like McDaniels here. We've got Santos in the Warriors. Like Pods is there, but then he's out of there. We've said Dylan Brooks. In the Nuggets, it's Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther. These guys. We've got Naismith, Nemhard, TJ McConnell for the Pacers. In the Magic, obviously Cole Anthony blowing up today. We're looking at guys like this. In the Trailblazers, it's Kamara and Klingon as always. And in the Kings, it's Keon Ellis because people picked him up and his ownership went up in leagues and then it went down again because De'Aaron Fox wasn't traded straight away. And maybe that manager that picked him up was stressing themselves for a win this week. So they're like, I can't do it. And their IR spots are filled up and they can't make an ad without dropping a guy and they just need to get the win over. So just keep your eyes on Keon Ellis going into there, especially with the Kings playing those 3 and 4. Now, the other ones we can focus on up to the Friday when we can drop them are the Nets, the Cavs, the Heat, the 76ers, and Raptors. These are all very, very juicy options for us as well. Now, again, on the Tuesday and Thursday, on the low volume, not the buy low, that's something we do for players who are playing like crap. On the low volume days this week, we can focus in on a few teams here. So if you just want to be like, look, finish off your Monday with that back-to-back ad, like I said, cool. You know the Wednesday is going to be a little bit hectic. You just want to get your Tuesday and Wednesday in. Well, you can focus on the Hawks guys, Rockets, Lakers, Trailblazers, and Jazz. And we just touched on those names before as well. Again, we're looking at Vitt, we're looking at Dylan Brooks, Cam Whitmore, we're looking at Rui, Dalton Connect, yes, even Jackson Hayes right now, who a lot of people are like going frothing about, but did he perform today? So why are we adding Jackson Hayes? We're in a game where he is the starting center for the Los Angeles Lakers, where they need rebounds against the New York Knicks. And he doesn't even fill one hand of rebounds. Yeah, I'm not really going to be jumping out of my skin to get the bloke, to be honest. Like, yeah, he's going to have some relevance. But today, 4, 2, 1, 3, 1 block. Yes, the perfect from the line is great, but he only played the 21 minutes. Dorian Finney-Smith was the real bumper there, and Dorian Finney-Smith is the guy we want to be looking at because he played incredibly well. Though, as JJ already calls him, maybe Doe gets traded, although that's a guy that he wanted. But it's really interesting, this trade as well, because Lucas crossed paths with some of these players. Christian Wood is buried deep on the bench right now. He's returning from injury. Dorian Finney-Smith is a former Dallas Maverick. It's very interesting, the dynamic that's going on there with the Lakers. So Dorian Finney-Smith, I think, is still a really little nice pickup in this area as well. We're going to, before we get down to it, before we get to the injuries, my targets for the weekend, I mentioned some of these on my streaming radar. Najee Marshall for Dallas, Dylan Brooks, Cam Whitmore, Dalton Connect, Jackson Hayes, and Rui Hachimura for LA. Derrick Jones Jr., Amir Coffey, Timoni Kamara, and Donovan Clingan. Those are the names that I'm automatically putting on G's radar list. I should play the buzzer because I've got this. I've got the waiver targets. Here we go. It's this one here.
Target acquired.
And those are the guys that I've got on my targets acquired list. This feeds into why? Because of the injury status. So let's go through the injuries before we wrap the pod. And before we do that as well, I should shout out and say, look, this month for all of February, we've got a really special thing happening. Our good friend Dan Bresbris, fan of the show, he's jumping on a poll with me next week. His kid's school burnt down over in LA with the fires. So we're giving 20% of all profits from our Insight NBA fantasy apparel. The link for that is down in the description. It's probably just down over this side here, where my finger's pointing, where there's products. You can look through them, all your sizes. They ship internationally. 20% of all our profits are going to go to schools, a school in LA that's been affected by the fires. So 20% of all our profits from these. Jump on it, get involved with their NBA fantasy gear. Dan's going to talk about it on his show. We'll give you some more details on our socials during the course of this week as we launch it. But it's going for a good cause. Get on that one and just help get back into their school and their learning as soon as you can. It's a good thing to do. Back onto the injury breakdown for the week over in the Atlanta Hawks. Clint Capella has been out with back spasms for the past 3 games for the Atlanta Hawks. He could be returning. Now, the personal reasons that are associated with Bogdan Bogdanovic, well, I think he's a potential trade target and a stash target, and I think he is not long for Atlanta as well. So let's keep our eye on what happens with Bogdan Bogdanovic this week. Jalen Johnson, of course, announced this week, is unfortunately out for the rest of the season. The Brooklyn Nets now, Ken Johnson is out. And his day today. But he's also out because he is an absolutely prime trade target, and we could probably be looking to see him move before the deadline from Brooklyn, quite possibly. It's that time of year for him to go. It's almost like clockwork 2 years ago that he rocked up there. Clowney is going to be out until after the All-Star break there, and Cam Thomas is making his way back from injury. He is looking to return after the All-Star break as well. In Charlotte, now, Micic left Saturday's game with an ankle injury. He did not return here. So immediately for me, the ad there is Nick Smith Jr. LaMelo is going to be out with his sprained ankle. He's going to be reevaluated this week. We could probably see him maybe return after the All-Star break there. Now, the unfortunate thing is Josh Okogie, who was playing well, who was a great streamer for steals. He's going to be out for the next 3 weeks for the Charlotte Hornets as well, where Trey Mann is also now out for the season. Oh, the stink fest is on. If I can move Mark Williams in leagues, I possibly would, even though I don't want to, because he will be the bright shining star for the Hornets with Miles Bridges. It's very tenuous right here. In Chicago, we've got Zach LaVine. Now, he's missed the last 2 because he and his wife are expecting their 3rd child. Congratulations to Zachy. I know how you feel. He is doubtful for Sunday's game with the Pistons and also a prime trade target. In Cleveland, Isaac Okoro is going to be out on Sunday. He's got that sprained shoulder, so we can look to possibly him this week. And Karis LeVert and Craig Porter Jr., they are both questionable, though Karis LeVert is the one I want to keep my eyes out for streaming in the week ahead. In Dallas, we know that one. Gafford is questionable. There is a whole bunch of chicanery here. This is crazy. Kyrie, PJ, and Gafford are all questionable for Sunday's game. Let's just see what happens there against the Cavaliers, because I'm really curious to see how this shapes out for the Dallas. And I don't think either of these teams are done, by the way. So I'm keeping my eye right and truly on them. In Denver now, Peyton Watson. I mentioned him earlier as a stream option. He had a sprained knee. Now, Russell Westbrook missed the hammy. Now, if Russell Westbrook's going to miss more time, I think we see Watson return sooner than we see Westbrook come back. Let's keep our eyes on those injury updates closer to game times during the course of the week. All smooth sailing pretty much there over in Detroit with Golden State. This week, we can expect to see the return of Draymond Green. In Houston, it was a shame to see Fred VanVleet. He left with an ankle. It looked like a sprain. We're not sure of the severity of that right now as recording. By the time that you listen to this, there maybe let's find out more details as that goes down on. And let's look to what we can do here, because Alperen Sengun, he's been out as well with a calf contusion. So two of their big playmakers for the Houston Rockets, still playing well, are out. Indiana, all smooth sailing, wherein the Clippers missing out on Sunday's game will be Norm Powell with his hip soreness. Chris Dunn's not going to play. He's got a sore knee. And PJ Tucker and Mo Bamba are off to the Utah Jazz. Incoming, they actually have a good backup center, Drew Eubanks and Patrick Mills. Good old Patty Mills, Aussie boy, is finding his way on the Los Angeles Clippers. In the Lakers, look, Maxi Kleber, he had surgery on that broken foot. He's out indefinitely. He's not even playing. He's in this trade to make it work. Marky Morris coming here. He's not good enough to play. So we're just keeping our eyes on what's going on there. Now, doubtful on Sunday for the Memphis Grizzlies is Ja Morant with shoulder soreness, whereas in Miami, look, he's just out because he sucks, because he's an asshole to his teammates, apparently, and he is suspended. And that's what you do when you're not acting well in your team. You suspend them. Even if their name is Jimmy Buckets, he is out indefinitely. You can continue to see Kelly Ware added in all of those leagues, as well as Duncan Robinson on those fringes for those guard minutes. Milwaukee, Bobby Portis is going to miss another game on Sunday with personal reasons. Looking for him to return this week, though. Good to see the Tortoise Portis coming back soon. Now, Anthony Edwards didn't play, but he was sick. Naz Reid was out. He hurt his finger that game. Julius Randle also didn't play because he had that groin soreness, and he's going to be out for at least for the next week, I would expect, with that groin injury as well, if not 2 weeks as well. New Orleans, unfortunate to see that DeJounte Murray is out for the rest of the season with an Achilles tendon injury. Zion missed Friday's game. He was out. He was sick, whereas Jordan Hawkins also missed the last 2 games through illness. I think Jordan Hawkins is the guy we see pick up a lot of that slack with the injury to DeJounte Murray, as well as Jose Alvarado. Now, OJ Anunoby left it with a sprained foot and did not return. We're awaiting updates for the New York Knicks on OG Anunoby. That is a big loss for them. Expect a massive uptick for guys like we saw on the game against the Lakers, Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges there as well. In OKC, Jalen Williams missed the Saturday's game with a sprained wrist, and Kayson Wallace left that game with a shoulder strain and did not return. Alex Caruso has been out with an ankle. He's been in and out of the lineup all season, but got a good payday, so we love that for him. Orlando Magic, Jalen Suggs has missed the last 3 with a quad contusion, and KCP sat out through rest. In Philadelphia, Joel Embiid and PG are out for Sunday's game without the Celtics, and Andre Drummond could be swinging back into that lineup, as well as Caleb Martin. That could hurt those Gershon Yabusele minutes that he's been flying. His last game was incredible. Phoenix, all good there. And Portland, Robert Williams has missed the last 3 games because of a hand injury and also potential trade, and they don't want to ding his value. In Sacramento, smooth sailing over that way. But in San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama was out through illness last minute against the Heat. In Toronto, it was good to see Emmanuel quickly come on back, which was great because Davion Mitchell is now questionable for Sunday's game with an ankle issue, and Jamal Shed is questionable for that one as well. He has a flu. Jalen Hood-Schifino makes his way over to the Utah Jazz. Look, I don't think we see anything massive happening over there. PJ Tucker and Mumba are there. Let's see that one. But Washington, Alex Sarr was playing well. Rookie, looking good for silly season. Been out the last 3 games with a sprained ankle. We can expect him to come back into the lineups if there was a time to buy low and get yourself a bit of a stash on Alex Sarr for silly season and get your block rate up. It would probably be right about now. And it is probably right about now we wrap it up. Thanks a good ton to our friends, the Standard Squeeze. I am sipping nicely from mine right now with a couple of nice little things from the Scottish Isles. That's Irish. I'm not going to do that again. Promo code IFS15. Get your 4-in-1s, get your gear, get your apparel. Make sure you check that on out. Make sure you like and subscribe to All Things Insight. I will catch you soon. This is trade deadline week. It's going to get exciting. More updates coming throughout. Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.